Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, this is JudgeSpektre, bringing you the Return of the Lame Plot Twist series. And today I feature to you Fable. Not just one Fable, both of them. Now technically these plot twists aren't necessarily something that you will be forced to witness, as with Fable's theme of making choices, it will have to be sort of a choice you make. It's the fact that they would make it possible to sort of invalidate their own storylines that sort of makes this worthy of my attention. Now let me take you to the end of the original Fable. Here, take a look.
And now comes the choice I spoke of so long ago. Strike me down now with the sword of aeons, and you will become as powerful as Jack dreamt of being. Cast it into the vortex, and its darkness will be gone forever. So what will you do, little brother?
It was without a doubt the single biggest morality choice you were forced to make in Fable, in my opinion. And for some reason, the makers of Fable decided to completely screw this up by releasing a version of Fable later on entitled The Lost Chapters, which featured new content, which would eventually become sort of the canon version of Fable, as in Fable 2, several things which only happen in the Lost Chapters are referenced, indicating that it is indeed the canon version, not the original version. For good people who chose to throw away the sword and sacrifice ultimate power, it doesn't even matter, because early on in the expanded main storyline quest, you get access to a new sword that is equal in power to the one that you chose to get rid of. That's right, you can have it both ways. This completely invalidates the entire purpose of the ending. You can't have it both ways. You can't have ultimate power and keep the life of the person you care about. It was a question of what was more important, ultimate power or the life of a loved one. And they basically completely ruined that, and it still boggles my mind as to why they would do that. I mean, I know people probably complained about it, but it was their decision to make. And I just don't see why that happened. I mean, it was completely ridiculous. And sadly, this would not be the last time this would happen. In Fable Part 2, at the very end of the game, you are faced with a series of choices.
You stand in the heart of the spire, as the Archon of the Old Kingdom did thousands of years ago. Now it is your turn. Make a wish, but choose wisely, for it will affect all of Albion. Sacrifice. You may choose to revive all those who died in the spire's making. It is a selfless gift. Your only reward will be the gratitude of Albion. Love. Those dearest to you, even your faithful dog, will be restored to life. But their lives come at the cost of the countless innocents who died in building the spire. Or wealth. More gold than you can imagine, to spend on whatever pleases you. But any you loved, and all the spire's prisoners will remain dead, and will not witness your newfound affluence. What will you choose?
But they released a downloadable content, Not Whole Island, which allowed you to resurrect your dog, which once again defeats the purpose of some of those endings. In other words, you can resurrect thousands of people, or you can also take $1 million and leave everybody dead and still get your dog back to life. I mean, you can't get your family back to life, but families in Fable 2 are so boring and one-dimensional that almost nobody would even care about them anyway. You could just have another family and another and another. I mean, one's the same because they all have no personality, so what's the difference? Why does Lionhead keep doing this? Going back later on, adding extra things, and completely invalidating their own endings, making them meaningless. I just don't get it. I suppose pressure from the fans has something to do with it because one fan wanted this, but they can't get it because they made a certain decision. I don't know. Only thing I do know is that this is getting ridiculous and it really needs to stop. Though admittedly you could avoid the Fable 2 one by just not getting the downloadable content, not Whole Island. But if you get the Game of the Year edition Fable 2, I think that comes with it by default. I'm not really sure about that. But anyway, we're now hearing reports of a Fable 3 supposedly coming out in the holiday of 2010. And all I can really say about it is, I hope that it turns out to be really good, and I hope for once they set up a good moral decision at the end and leave it alone.